Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome back once again. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to take a look at the Deviant made by Sheepdog Knives. A gentleman named Chris who is making some really badass knives. I come across him on Instagram, as many of us do nowadays. I mean, that's a great medium now for discovering makers. And when I first saw the Deviant, I fell in love with it. I've bullshitted with Chris now for a couple of years, and we've kind of met up with each other, and I said, hey, I want to get a knife made someday, and sometimes I fail to follow through, and he messaged me one day. He's like, hey, I thought we were going to do something one day. I'm like, shit, yeah, let's do this. And I fell in love with two of his models, but there was something about the Deviant that really sparked my interest. I love Warncliffes. I love sheep's foot designs. They're just knives that, I don't know, there's something about that shape. I find it very useful and a little bit different than your run-of-the-mill standard fair blade shapes. But the Deviant was a little small for my taste, and I said, listen, I know it's a pain in the ass when somebody asks you this, but could you make a slightly larger version? Which really means you're forcing that maker to go back to the drawing board, do a whole bunch of math to make sure everything lines up properly to make it a little bit larger. But he was kind enough to do so. If I recall, and I could be wrong, the original, I believe, is about a 3¼ inch blade. I wanted to go up bigger. I said anywhere between 3½ and 3¾ inches is great. This is a touch over 3½. And one of the things that I'd wanted to do for a long time, I'm a big fan of Damasteel. And I wanted to have a Damasteel blade flowing into Damasteel bolsters with the same pattern. And he was kind enough to fulfill that request, so we've got the Damasteel blade, Damasteel bolsters on both sides, Damasteel clip to finish everything off, blued titanium liners, zirconium floating backspacer, and zirconium scales on both sides. So what you've got, honestly, is a very heavy knife because of the material choices that I made. I mean, more than half of the knife is steel. Then you've got zirconium, which is very heavy. So this is not a lightweight knife that's easy to carry every single day. But for me, it's not really a burden. I've carried heavier knives. What I've got here, though, is a nice, compact folder that fills my hand. It's got a great thickness to it. Now, I've actually had this knife for quite a long time, as a matter of fact. And again, because of my issue of wanting to make it bigger, we did have a slight issue with the lock when I had first gotten it, so I had to send it back to Chris. He was awesome to get it fixed for me, got it fixed as quick as he could, got it back to me, because he's a super busy guy right now. I mean, it's nuts the amount of builds that he has going on. But he was kind enough to get that taken care of for me, and now I get a chance to sit down and make this video. One of the things that I appreciate about working with Chris was he was very concerned with making me happy as a customer, to give me the materials that I really wanted, and to make it in a way that would make me happy in the end. And as you see, I just realized I forgot to clean it off. I've been carrying and using the shit out of this knife, so there's still tape or something stuck on there. He puts a nice, super sharp edge on these things, so it's become a very useful knife. I love using my Damasteel knives because I don't worry about really marking up the blade or doing anything, because the pattern usually hides that. It's Damascus, so it's very strong. Being all stainless steels in that Damascus, I worry less about it rusting or corroding or anything like that. So when it comes to the prettier knives that I may have in my collection, a Damasteel bladed knife will probably get used more than, let's say, a mirror polished N690 blade or a very high grade satin finish, just because those will show marks almost immediately. And you want your stuff to look as good as it can for as long as it can, but at the end of the day, it's a fucking knife, and you bought it to use it. And those that know me well know that if I find myself either not carrying or not using a knife for any number of reasons, I'll sell it or trade it to get myself into something that I will use and carry more often to fill my collection. And, you know, that's why I like Damasteel. I'm never afraid to do anything to it. There's not much you could do to hurt it. And if you perform basic maintenance you would do on any stainless steels or any steels whatsoever, you know, I spray on some EDCI solution, rub it in, and wipe it off. That's it. That is all I do for maintenance on any of my blades. Nothing has rust, nothing has corrosion. I have stuff in high carbon steels, O1, W2, 1095. I don't have any issues with anything because I know how to take care of my shit. So don't be afraid to use a knife, excuse me, that's made well and made nicely. It may have cost you a lot of money because it's meant to be used. Now let's give you some close-ups of this bad boy. There's that beautiful Damasteel. He was kind enough to let me pick out my own pattern. So when he went to place the order, I forgot where it was that we ordered from, but I went on there and I said, yes, that number, that pattern right there, that's the one that I want to use. And he ordered that directly. Nice job on the zirconium. Again, I've carried it a bit there. Maybe it's some little snail trails or something, but he did a really nice satin and then buff over that satin on the zirconium. It does not show fingerprints as easily as a full mirror polished zirconium, which I've had in the past. There is that zirconium floating backspacer. How you like that, huh? Huh? And the Damasteel clip. I'm very big on balance. I like to have a balance in my material choices, so I'm glad that he was willing to work with Damasteel for the clip. Did a nice job on the bluing of the titanium liners. Adds a little pop of color. And then the Steve Kelly pivot there and the hardware done in the blue to complement it as well. Overall, I honestly couldn't be happier. It's a fantastic friggin' knife. Made by a maker that really enjoys making knives. Let's talk about him for a second. Chris Conaway is who Sheepdog Knives is. He's a family man. He works hard, and he does it for the love of his family, and he does it for the love of making knives. This is the kind of thing that excites him, and throw him a challenge. Fuck, he loves challenges. I mean, don't throw ridiculous, crazy shit at him, you know, whatever, but he loves a challenge. Working with new materials, when we discuss working with the zirconium and Damasteel together, he's like, I haven't done that before. That'd be a really interesting challenge. And he executed it extremely well, did a great job. He is a perfectionist. He's not going to be happy putting out a subpar product. You know, and that's something that's really important these days when a lot of makers are trying to beat the clock. They've got a lot of people on their books. They're trying to pump out product as quickly as they can. And this really, I'm talking about the younger, more inexperienced makers. And they're trying to push out that product and they're trying to get everything out there because, you know, as a knife maker, you're always going to get that one customer that's a pushy pain in the ass that'll practically email you daily for updates, even though you haven't even started on his knife yet because it's not that time yet. And they're impatient, and you know, they think that waiting a couple months is a long ass time. And then they start going to forums and to social media and bad mouthing you because you're so fucking slow. So a lot of the younger, more inexperienced makers cave to that pressure and they just want to get that monkey off their back. More experienced makers, ones that have been around for a while and, you know, been there and done that, they know how to temper that, they know how to handle that. And that's why a lot of them don't even do books anymore. They just say, fuck it, I'm not dealing with that. I'm just going to make knives as I make them, make what I want to make, and then I'll make them available for sale at that point. Chris has a lot of people waiting for his knives. He's gotten to be very, very popular with some, you know, very, very good feedback from people. But he's not rushing himself to the point where you're going to get a subpar quality knife. If there was one thing I would change on this, it would probably be, gosh, you know what? I always try to think of pros and cons on every video, but I mean, he nailed everything. There's plenty of relief in here to release the lock. Yeah, I guess if there's one thing to change, I would have liked to have seen thicker liners maybe, with a thicker lock, but it's still, you know, as you see right there, it's locked up solid, and that's not going anywhere. But I do like to see thicker liners, and maybe that could just be a mental thing. I'm not out there batoning my knives and shit, so, I mean, take that with a grain of salt. Everything he did was fantastic. All the finish work on the Damasteel is done very, very well. All the materials are mated up nicely, very clean work. Great etch on the Damasteel, nice contrast. Nice polish on it as well. Again, I'm sorry for the marks I've got on it. He just did a fantastic job all the way around, and while this may be in this configuration with these materials a bit heavy for some people to EDC, I've been very happy carrying this often and using it, enjoying it, and loving it. And when it's folded up, it's a nice compact size. It's really not a big knife at all. He has utilized every bit of that frame to fit the blade into without it sticking out and poking out and you having to worry about slicing your finger open. Everything's nice and clean and flat and straight. It's everything that you could ask for. I hope one day he makes a flipper out of this. I think that'd be pretty damn gnarly. But this was one of those times I was in the mood for a manual opener. I don't always like to have a thumb disc. Sometimes I prefer to have a thumb stud. But he has his placed properly where I can access it and I can flick it very easily. If I want to slowly open it, I can certainly do that as well very, very easily. A lot of people will put their discs so far up that my thumb won't actually reach all the way out. This is great. The ergonomics are nice. He's got a nice, big, deep choil right there. Feels nice and secure in the hand. Even though it does taper greatly toward the tail of the knife, it doesn't feel like it's going to go anywhere. It still feels very secure. Now, if this choil wasn't as deep as it is, yeah, I might have a little bit of a weird feeling about how it tapers like that. But my finger locks in there great and everything works fantastically. So there you go, guys. Just a quick look into this, really, and there's so much that I could probably really say about it, but the fact of the matter is, if I really go overboard and tell you how great it was to deal with Chris and how amazing this knife really is, it really kind of screws you and him both, because he's already got a lot of people waiting, and I don't want to really inundate him, but I had to let people know. I had to let people that maybe you don't follow me on Instagram and you haven't seen this knife yet. I wanted you guys to get a chance to see it live in an HD. And yes, by the way, I've been getting a lot of comments, people going, why aren't you in 4K yet? Honestly, HD is fine by me. I mean, if I find the right deal on a 4K camera, maybe I'll do it. But I mean, that's bigger file sizes. That takes me longer to upload into my computer and to upload to YouTube and to edit and everything else. So I'm fine with 1080 HD. If you guys aren't, let me know. Be vocal about it, and maybe I'll look into it. But it might reduce the amount of videos I do by a little bit because of all the extra time it's going to take. But yeah, I really wanted you guys to see this in HD and really understand why I love it as much as I do and why I post it as often as I do. This is just one of those knives that it fell into the perfect place in my collection and allows me to carry it and use it almost guilt-free. And you don't normally say that about such an expensive knife with such expensive materials. But that's really a testament to Damasteel. So if you're looking at making something special, maybe a bit dressy, but you know damn well you're going to use the knife at some point, you know, maybe forego that mirror polished blade, as beautiful as it might be. Get into a mirror polished Damasteel blade, and you might find yourself using it a bit more often.